Welcome to Pat Writes Books. The video you're about to watch is intended for mature audiences. It will likely contain an abundance of cursing, adult discussions, and worst of all, personal opinions. So chill out, grab a snack, and enjoy the show. Take it away, Sensei.
How's it going, everyone? It's Pat, your friendly internet wordsmith, and today I got another reaction video for you guys. Just kidding. We do writing stuff here on the channel, and for today's video, I am going to break down magic systems used in fiction, and I'm also going to give you some tips on how to write them yourself. One of the best aspects of fantasy works is the magic that characters are able to wield. For me personally, it's what draws me into a narrative before I get the chance to meet the characters, get invested in their journey, and all that good stuff. It's really cool when you find a well-crafted magic system that's balanced and imaginative and all that good stuff. But when a magic system is done terrible, it can really shoot down the narrative. So without further ado, let's go ahead and dive into it, starting with the breakdown. So if you've been scratching your head at the term magic system, allow me to elaborate. A magic system is the set of rules characters abide by within their universes as it relates to their powers and abilities. Think elemental bending in the Avatar series, the Force in Star Wars, alchemy in Full Metal Alchemist, etc., etc. When it comes to magic systems, there are two types: A, soft magic, and B, hard magic. And no, that was not a dick joke. Hard magic is a system in which there are very strict rules and regulations on what can and can't happen. Magic could be purely elemental, or perhaps only elves can perform magic. Or maybe in order to perform magic at all, I don't know, maybe you have to crush a ruby and blow it in the air or something. There are very strict circumstances in which abilities can be performed. Soft magic is the complete opposite. There are very few rules governing what can and can't go down. Oftentimes it's a, if you can think it, it can happen kind of scenario. All right. Now time for the juicy stuff. Now these are my tips for how to craft a good magic system, starting with number one, and that is make sure you use the right type of magic system for the story you're trying to tell. Now this is a little bit tricky, but there are specific circumstances in which it's more beneficial to pick a hard magic system over a soft one, and vice versa. Typically, as a good rule of thumb, the more rigid a magic system is, the more rules there are, the more the magic system is going to play a part in the narrative. In other words, hard magic systems typically will take a forefront in the story. They're critically important and will often require multiple in-depth explanations, and no, that is not an excuse to info dump on the reader. Hard magic systems oftentimes can be so prevalent in a story that they might feel like an additional character. Conversely, soft magic systems are more like seasoning to a story. They're a lot less important, and they're usually just a way for cool characters to do cool shit. Simple explanations are going to go a long way for this, as they will allow you to quickly get back to the bombastic action a lot sooner. When picking a system, you want to consider how important the magic is to the story. Let's say, for example, you're writing a story about, some princess warrior that's born every 1,000 years and has some special magical power that only they can possess, and it's their destiny to seal away some ancient evil that resurrects every now and again. If you're doing something like that, you're going to want a more rigid system because the magic weaves its way into the plot. You can't tell the story without knowing about the magic. However, if you're, say, writing a story about a magical detective who is months away from retirement and, the magical elven mafia is stirring up trouble and shit, and he doesn't want to get involved, but of course it's his job, so he has to get involved. Yeah, if you're writing something like that, then the magic isn't as important because the story you're trying to tell is about the detective and this last job he has to do. It doesn't really matter which magical beams he can shoot out of his fingertips. Now, you may be wondering why this is important. Well, because you don't want to bog down your readers with unnecessary information. For example, in our detective story, your reader's not going to care that he's shooting fire beams from his fingertips because he's a pure blood elf. Yeah, they don't care about that shit. They came for the juicy cop drama. For the princess story, if you don't explain why she has this mission, and this mission is hers and hers alone, or how she got her abilities, or how they work, and the darkness and all that other stuff, if you don't explain those fine details, your reader's gonna be left scratching their head wondering what the fuck is going on. On to tip number 2, and that is you need to always be consistent. Regardless of which system you pick, consistency is going to be your best friend. If you don't keep things consistent, things can get really bad really fast, and some readers may even DNF your work. And personally, it's something I've done before. Oh, and DNF, if you don't know, is did not finish. In a hard magic system, if you break your consistency, you instantly create massive plot holes in your work. Let's say, for example, your MC's a nymph, and it's explicitly stated that nymphs are water magic users. They can only use water magic. And then your MC just starts throwing out fucking lightning bolts. There better be a damn good explanation why this guy turned into fucking Static Shock. Shout out to all the real ones who knows who that is. Now, if you're thinking, no problem, I'll just use a soft magic system and not have to worry about that. Yeah, it doesn't work that way. Yes, you do get more leeway when you use a soft magic system. However, if you don't ground your magic system with like the most basic guidelines and stick to them, you're going to create a sense of your book having a ton of ass pulls. Oh no, the MC's in danger. No, they're fine. They used another ability that they had all along, but they're only just now using it. Yeah, nobody likes that shit. Tip number 3, you need to keep things balanced in complexity. The common thread between most successful and popular magic systems is that they can all be summed up in a handful of sentences, but when you dive deeper into them, they get complex as fuck. And the best example I can think of this is Nen from Hunter x Hunter. In this series, Nen is a life force energy that all organisms have naturally within their body. And when a person learns to utilize this life energy, they can do things like enhance their strength, it prolongs their lifespan, it promotes faster healing, all types of cool shit. However, Nen is much more complex than that. It can actually be broken down into 6 different types, and when mastered, allows their user to do swaggy shit like convert their Nen into electricity, or create realistic illusions of themselves. It gets very deep. The key here is to start with one basic concept. From there, you want to start adding on layers of complexity, one after the other. Each layer should be consistent with the one that came before it, and no layer should overwrite anything that was previously stated. Everything needs to build on top of the last step. Now on to tip number 4, and that is to let the magic system gradually unfold. So admittedly, this tip is more about execution as opposed to crafting a magic system. However, it's critically important, so listen up anyway. Now, magic systems are best rolled out in a way in which the reader can follow along as the magic unfolds. This means gradually sprinkling in bits of lore and rules about the magic as they become relevant to the story. And again, this is not a license to info dump, especially if this is the first time magic is being introduced to the reader. Speaking of that event, it does not need to be a grand spectacle either. The first introduction of magic into your story can be something as mundane as, I don't know, your MC lighting a campfire with their fingertips. It can be something incredibly minute, but the important thing to remember here is that you need to show it. Do not tell it. And my final tip for the video, and again, this is about execution, not crafting a magic system, that don't at me. You want to always keep the magic system in mind no matter what you're writing. Seriously, you need to always be cognizant of the magic system. Even when you're writing using a soft magic system and your story focuses more on character plot, you need to remember the magic system when you're writing. The reason for this is something as significant as magic is going to affect the world drastically. It's going to change the way society operates. It's going to change the way governments form. It's going to change and affect pretty much everything. Think about it. If people can conjure water with their fingertips, would there ever be droughts? If people can be healed by magic, how does that affect the medical industry? Does science even exist in a world with magic? How much wood could a woodchuck chuck? In all seriousness, there are no right or wrong answers to any of those questions. For example, magically conjured water, poof from the fingertips, you're no longer thirsty, no water shortages. Or perhaps maybe magically conjured water doesn't have any of the nutritional properties that natural water does. So yeah, people are still gonna go thirsty. It doesn't matter what the answer is, but as the author, you need to answer that within your story. And as such, it pays to always keep the magic system in the back of your mind as you're writing. And that's gonna do it for this one. Personally, I like a mix of both hard and soft magic in a story, but that's just my personal opinion. But you know what? I'd love to hear yours. So hop down in the comments below and let me know what's your thoughts on magic.
Thanks for kicking it with us. If you had a good time, go ahead and slap that like button. And if you're new, consider subscribing, because we do this every week. Of course, you're going to want to hit that bell too, so you never miss an upload. Have an awesome day, achieve something great, and we'll catch you later.